Hey everyone, welcome back, and if this is your first time here, thank you for clicking on this video. Today we are diving into one of the most exciting talent show face-offs people have been talking about. America versus Britain. Two powerful voices. Two unforgettable journeys. Richard Goodall versus Sydnie Christmas. This is not about who is better as a person. This is about voices, moments, stories, and how music can cross oceans and connect millions of hearts. From the very first second you hear these names, you can already feel the weight behind them. Richard Goodall represents a story that feels deeply American. Hard work, humility, and a dream that never died. Sydnie Christmas represents a bold British spirit. Confidence, emotional depth, and a voice that feels both classic and modern at the same time. When these two names are placed side by side, it feels like more than just a comparison. It feels like a celebration of what music can do in different cultures while still touching the same human emotions. Let us start with Richard Goodall. When Richard walked onto the stage, there was nothing flashy about him. No dramatic entrance. No over-the-top confidence. Just a regular man with a quiet smile and a nervous energy that felt honest. That alone made people lean in. In a world full of polished performers, Richard felt real. He looked like someone you might see every day. A school janitor. A neighbor. Someone who works hard and does not expect applause. But the moment he opened his mouth, everything changed. His voice carried years of life, years of dreaming, and years of waiting. It was not just about hitting notes. It was about the feeling behind those notes. There was pain, hope, gratitude, and strength all mixed together. You could hear the struggle and the perseverance. His performance did not feel like a competition entry. It felt like a life story being sung out loud. What made Richard special was not just his vocal tone, but his authenticity. He did not try to be anyone else. He did not chase trends. He stood there and sang from the heart. That is something audiences everywhere connect with, especially in America, where stories of everyday people achieving extraordinary moments are deeply cherished. As his journey continued, Richard did not suddenly transform into a flashy star. He stayed grounded. Every performance felt like a thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. Thank you for giving me this chance. That humility made his voice even more powerful. People were not just voting for a singer. They were voting for a story they believed in. Now let us cross the ocean and talk about Sydnie Christmas. From the moment Sydnie stepped on stage, the energy was different. She walked in with confidence, style, and presence. You could tell she knew who she was. She carried herself like someone who belonged on that stage, and that confidence was not empty. It was earned. When Sydnie sang, her voice filled the room in a completely different way. It was bold, theatrical, and emotionally controlled. She knew how to use dynamics. She knew when to pull back and when to go all in. Her performances felt cinematic, like scenes from a musical brought to life in real time. There was drama, passion, and precision in every note. Sydnie represents a strong tradition in British music and theatre. A focus on storytelling through performance. She did not just sing songs. She performed them. Her facial expressions, her posture, her connection to the lyrics all worked together. Watching her felt like watching a professional production, even in a competition setting. But what truly set Sydnie apart was her emotional intelligence. She understood the songs she chose. She knew how to communicate their meaning without overdoing it. That balance is difficult, and she handled it with maturity. You could feel her control, not just of her voice, but of the entire moment. As her journey progressed, Sydnie showed versatility. She could be powerful and soft, confident and vulnerable. Each performance added another layer to her identity as an artist. Audiences did not just admire her voice. They trusted her artistry. So now comes the big question. America versus Britain. Richard Goodall versus Sydnie Christmas. How do you even begin to compare two artists who represent such different energies and journeys? Richard's strength lies in his relatability. He is the embodiment of the idea that it is never too late. That dreams do not have expiration dates. His voice feels like a conversation with the soul. It is warm, imperfect in a human way, and deeply sincere. When he sings, people see themselves, their parents, their struggles, their hopes. Sydnie's strength lies in her command. She represents preparation, confidence, and the power of knowing your worth. Her voice feels like a statement. It demands attention. It inspires admiration. When she sings, people see excellence, dedication, and the magic of performance at its highest level. America often falls in love with underdog stories, with people who rise from ordinary lives and surprise the world. Richard fits that narrative perfectly. Britain has a long tradition of valuing theatrical excellence and vocal mastery, and Sydnie fits that tradition beautifully. Neither approach is better. They are simply different. Imagine Richard singing a classic rock ballad. You feel the grit, the years, the road behind him. Imagine Sydnie singing a powerful show tune. You feel the stage lights, the drama, the emotional climax. Both performances can move you to tears, but for different reasons. What makes this comparison so fascinating is that it highlights how music is shaped by culture while still being universal. The American dream and the British stage tradition meet in one conversation. One is raw and grounded. The other is polished and expressive. Yet both are honest in their own way. If Richard and Sydnie were ever to share a stage, it would not feel like a battle. It would feel like a duet of perspectives. His grounded warmth blending with her soaring power. That is the beauty of music. It does not have to choose sides. Another important part of this conversation is how audiences respond. Richard's performances often lead to quiet tears, standing ovations filled with gratitude, and comments about inspiration. People talk about how he gave them hope, how he reminded them not to give up. Sydnie's performances lead to gasps, applause, and awe. People talk about her talent, her star quality, and her future in professional performance. Both reactions are valid. Both matter. One touches the heart gently. The other electrifies it. In the end, asking who wins between Richard Goodall and Sydnie Christmas might be the wrong question. The real win is seeing two artists from different parts of the world reminding us why we love music in the first place. Because it tells stories. Because it connects us. Because it gives voice to feelings we cannot always express ourselves. Richard shows us that your past does not define your limit. Sydnie shows us that preparation and belief can elevate talent to greatness. Together, they represent two sides of the same beautiful coin. So whether you find yourself drawn to Richard's humble journey or Sydnie's commanding presence, remember this. Music is not about comparison alone. It is about connection. And in that sense, both America and Britain, both Richard and Sydnie, have already won. Thank you for staying with this story, because this comparison deserves time, depth, and respect. In this second part, we go even deeper into what truly separates and connects Richard Goodall and Sydnie Christmas, not just as singers, but as symbols of two different artistic philosophies that meet on the same emotional ground. One of the most interesting things about Richard Goodall is how silence works in his favor. Before he sings, there is often a pause, a breath, a stillness. That moment pulls people in. It feels like the calm before a confession. And when the sound finally comes, it feels earned. His voice does not rush to impress. It unfolds slowly, like someone telling you a story they have carried for a long time. This pacing is powerful because it mirrors real life. Real emotions are not rushed. They take time to surface. Richard's tone carries a lived-in quality. You can hear experience in it. Not vocal training alone, but life training. Long days, quiet nights, responsibilities, missed chances, and yet, hope. That combination gives his performances a kind of gravity. When he sings about love, it feels like love that has lasted. When he sings about loss, it feels like loss that has healed but never disappeared. That is why audiences trust him. He is not acting emotion. He is sharing it. Sydnie Christmas, on the other hand, uses momentum as her strength. From the first note, she often creates a wave that builds and builds. Her performances are structured like journeys with clear rises and climaxes. She understands musical architecture. She knows where the emotional peak should land and how to guide the audience there. That control does not make her performances cold. It makes them intentional. Her voice has clarity and power, but also agility. She can switch emotions quickly without losing authenticity. One moment she is vulnerable, the next she is commanding, and it feels natural. That ability comes from deep understanding of performance, not just singing. She treats the stage like a living space where every movement and expression matters. Another key difference lies in how each artist handles pressure. Richard often appears overwhelmed by the moment, but in a way that makes people root for him even more. You can see the weight of the opportunity on his face. Instead of weakening him, it adds emotional stakes. Every note feels like it matters deeply to him. That sincerity creates a powerful bond with the audience. Sydnie handles pressure with poise. She looks comfortable under the lights, as if pressure sharpens her focus. That confidence reassures the audience. It tells them they are in safe hands. She knows where she is going, and she invites everyone to come with her. This is the mark of a performer who thrives on stage energy. Now let us talk about song choice, because this is where personalities truly reveal themselves. Richard tends to choose songs that reflect resilience, longing, and emotional honesty. His selections often feel personal, even if they are well-known songs. He makes them feel like chapters from his own life. That ability to personalize familiar material is rare and valuable. Sydnie's song choices often highlight drama, range, and storytelling. She chooses pieces that allow her to showcase different colors of her voice and different emotional states. Her selections feel like statements of capability. They say, "This is what I can do, and this is who I am as an artist." That clarity helps audiences understand her vision. The judges and audiences react differently to each performer, and that difference says a lot. With Richard, reactions often come with visible emotion. Soft smiles, tears, long pauses before applause. People need a moment to process what they just felt. With Sydnie, reactions are immediate and explosive. Cheers, applause, standing ovations that start instantly. Both responses are powerful, just expressed differently. Social media conversations reflect this contrast as well. Discussions about Richard often focus on inspiration, humanity, and hope. People talk about their own lives, their parents, their struggles. Sydnie's discussions focus on talent, future potential, and professional success. People imagine her on big stages, in major productions, reaching global audiences. This brings us to an important point. Success does not look the same for everyone. Richard's success feels like validation. Like the world finally noticing someone who deserved to be heard long ago. Sydnie's success feels like momentum. Like the beginning of a journey that will continue to grow and expand. If we imagine their futures, they might look very different. Richard could become a symbol of perseverance, performing songs that comfort and inspire. His music might feel like home to people. Sydnie could become a leading voice in theater or contemporary music, commanding stages with confidence and precision. Her performances might feel like events. Yet despite these differences, there is a shared core. Both artists respect music deeply. Neither treats it lightly. You can feel that respect in how they prepare, how they perform, and how they react to feedback. That shared respect is what makes this comparison meaningful rather than divisive. America versus Britain is often framed as competition, but in this case, it feels more like dialogue. Two cultures expressing emotion through different lenses. One prioritizing relatability and raw truth. The other prioritizing craft and dramatic expression. Both approaches enrich the global music landscape. There is also something powerful about timing. Richard's story resonates strongly in a world where many people feel overlooked or left behind. His presence says, "You still matter." Sydnie's story resonates in a world that values confidence and excellence. Her presence says, "Believe in yourself and your preparation." As viewers, we are lucky to witness both. We do not have to choose one over the other. We can appreciate the quiet strength of Richard and the commanding brilliance of Sydnie at the same time. So as this conversation continues, remember that music is not a scoreboard. It is a mirror. Sometimes we see ourselves in humility and struggle. Sometimes we see ourselves in ambition and confidence. Richard Goodall and Sydnie Christmas offer us both reflections. Stay with us, because in the final part, we will bring everything together and explore what this comparison teaches us about art, culture, and the power of being true to who you are. Thank you for listening, and let us continue this journey together. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more conversations like this, make sure to support the channel and stay tuned for more stories that celebrate talent from all over the world. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.